Hello, I'm Malcolm Haslett. I've always been fascinated by people who run, and we're going to meet one of them who has just had the most amazing accomplishments. And that's coming up next on OurTime. And welcome to OurTime. I must admit, I do chuckle often when I see runners running, thinking, why didn't they just take the bus? But you've never wanted to take the bus, Grenville, have you?
No, I've always loved running.
Welcome to OurTime.
Thank you.
Grenville Wood, I had no idea about your accomplishments in your life. And we were just talking a minute ago about the fact that when we live our lives, we often don't realise what we've achieved. So talking about your achievements from the beginning, you're a little boy in the UK.
Yes, north of England. Mm-hmm. Almost a Billy Elliot story. My mother was into dancing and it was compulsory for me to dance as well.
Of course.
And until I was about 8 years old when the bullying at grammar schools took over, and I thought, I'm not doing this anymore. So I started in the cross-country team for school. Mm-hmm. And it kind of went from there. And then in '69, we came out to Australia. And really, I was lucky enough to join a local club, Enfield Harriers, and then later on to Western Districts, which is on West Terrace in the city. Mm-hmm. And then I wasn't very good. I mean, I was...
You could run.
I could run, but there was a lot of stars around, and I just was persistent, I guess, and I got myself a coach, and they kind of helped me.
That becomes pretty serious when you get to that point, though.
It does. I was very passionate about the running. As I said, I wasn't great, but then quite quickly I found that by training hard, you do improve. And I wasn't one of these talented athletes that you just can see straight from the start that, wow, look at that. And you see that even now. So I just trained hard.
I'm not sure about even now, though, but...
Well, yeah. I just trained hard, and even probably the first 3 years was I was an average to good runner, and there were some great runners around. And by then I was running around the city parklands when you could run around the city without being hit by too many cars. And so we'd run right around the city through Victoria Park Racecourse, back along Torrens and back to Western District.
Now, well, if this city here in Adelaide is a mile square, isn't it, roughly?
It is.
So was that 4 miles?
Well, no, it's a bit further because we used to meander around and go cut back. So we'd try and get it would probably be about 8 miles, but then if we went up around North Adelaide past the swimming centre and then down through the golf course, it became close to 10 mile. So that was a good run.
That's amazing because of what you would have seen during those days. But first of all, what is it inside of a person that makes them want to run? Is it to release some endorphins? Is it just sheer willpower? What is it?
Look, I think early on, you find something you enjoy. Yeah. And so obviously running was that, and also going out to a club and being part of a group of people that had similar interests. Right. And then you do start to get better, and the more you run, you enjoy it, and then you come home feeling great about what you've done.
And exhausted, I would think.
Sorry, and exhausted. Yes, my mother used to hate the fact that I was getting skinnier and skinnier and skinnier because she came from, grab you by the cheeks and say, you need to put on a bit of weight there and that.
But a dancer coming from a dance background, though, that's unusual.
It was. That's very true. But, I guess when my mum used to say, oh, you're looking healthy, I knew I wasn't very fit. So it was always reverse psychology. I used to think, oh, if mum's telling me I'm not looking very well, I must be getting there.
So you probably don't remember the answer to this, but while you were running in those early days, what was going through your head? Were you thinking about trying to be better at running, or were you thinking about what you had for breakfast or tomorrow? What goes through your head?
No, it was always about I want to be better. I mean, I started to really strive on going out with the really good runners and asking them what they were doing, and then basically copying them. And that went right through to when I was 19 years old and I was running around the city. I remember I was right out by the Grenville Terrace, and I was with the state champion marathon runner running along, and I said to Brenton Norman, Brent, what do you have to do to do marathons? And he said, you run 100 mile a week. And he said to me, how many miles are you doing? I said, 30. So I didn't say any more about it, and I went home and I thought, that's it. Next week I'm doing 100 miles.
It's amazing.
And so for 4 weeks I started doing 100 mile a week, and I hadn't seen Brinton for about 3 or 4 weeks. And a week before the state championships, which was out at Roseworthy College, I went for a run with Brinton and said, Brinton, I've been doing 100 miles a week. And he said, you're joking. It's supposed to take you months to build up to that. I said, well, it's too late. I've done it now.
I've done it.
I'm running in the marathon on Saturday. He says, no, don't do that. He said, just run half. It's an out and back twice course. When you go out and get back, just stop at 13 miles, or 21 kilometers, as we'd say these days, and just stop there. Well, I said, all right, Brenton, I'll do that. Well, unfortunately, or fortunately, what happened was I went out with the runners, and on the way back to where I was about to finish, the leading runner dropped off to go into the toilet in the bushes, and I found myself leading the state title, and I didn't stop. So I just kept on going.
Keep going.
And that's how I did my first marathon, and that's how it all started. So
well, we've got some photos of you, which are fantastic. So it really sets up exactly what Grenville has been doing, what he looked like. But it wasn't so much back then, was it?
No, that's after my trip to Europe. That's when I won the Olympic marathon trial for the Los Angeles Olympics. Unfortunately, I didn't go to the Olympics because they chose just to take Rob Di Costella, who was the best in the world at that time. But I did win
politics
the
involved there, do you think?
There was politics involved, and we won't get into that. But it was very disappointing. I've been to the Commonwealth Games, the World Championships, but everybody always says, "Did you go to the Olympics?" Well, that's as close as I got.
Well, you're still winning. This was from the Commonwealth Games.
It was. That's the
I can
Edinburgh
see
Commonwealth Games.
yes, your name on the right-hand side.
Yes, alphabetical order, I think.
Yes.
So Grenville Wood, second to last.
Look for the W.
Yes, and that was a great trip.
In 1986.
And Steve Monaghetti is in there as well. His first marathon was there.
Right.
So we're very good friends. Di Costella's there, as you can see. So it was great.
Here you are at a finish line. Where was this?
That was the Australian Marathon Championships in Sydney, and they brought in a lot of top runners to win that, and I was in great shape, and I won it. I beat them all, so I was
good on you.
Pleased with that. That's in my masters. That when I first turned, I went to America to had a bit of a break between 30 and kind of 35 of not doing quite as much running, but at 40 I went to America to do the Masters World Championships, and I actually did happen to win the cross. That's the 10K cross country.
You look like, oh, it's over.
Well, I think
was that the feeling?
I think that was the feeling. In many cases, at the end, it's the feeling.
Just amazing. So, there's a couple of shots here that are worth looking at too. Just explain those. In the top left-hand corner.
The top left-hand corner is the press conference, then the start of the race down below, and then the finishing results. I came 7th. That's the Tokyo Marathon, and that was me with my towel over my shoulders.
Oh, that's your fan card shot.
That's my. I don't know about that, but yes, I've still got the towel.
Have you?
That's a long time ago.
They're special things to hang on to, aren't they?
They are. And that was in the Wang Marathon, the one I was just talking about. There's 2 leading runners that they brought in from overseas, but
there you are on the left.
Yes, that's me on the left. It's one of my favourite shots. That just showing us making a turn, and I was in great shape that day.
When you say you're in great shape, how much did that rely on diet?
A lot. I mean, you trained an awful lot. Leading into that, I was doing over 200 kilometers a week of training. So you got to get in a lot of high quality food, but you're still conscious of the fact that it's food. It's fuel.
It's fuel. Yes, sure. So did you have a dietitian work with you, or was it just because these days, of course, there's a whole tribe of people behind everybody.
Well, certainly in the early stages of, or the early years of the Institute of Sport, which we had here in Adelaide, they sent me off to dietitians. So that was one aspect. There was many things. We were very archaic in those days compared with now. I mean, I remember running around Botanic Park with a car next to me, taking samples of blood out my ear while I'm running along next to probably an old Ford Falcon or something. And now it's all done and you had to wait a week to get the results.
Yes.
But now you're having instantaneously done on a treadmill. So lots of things have changed.
Yeah, lots of things have changed. And we'll be back in a moment to talk about those changes with Grenville Wood. A special guest on this OurTime is Grenville Wood. Grenville, it's interesting to me that our lives sort of ebb and flow. Our hobbies come back to us, but the other things that we do in life are also in the mix. So you haven't just run all your life, have you?
No. As I was saying earlier, I kind of started off dancing. Then I went to. I did try a little bit of soccer, but I suddenly realised it wasn't my thing. I was pretty, average at it, but not going. I wasn't ever going to be playing for Leeds United, where I came from.
Right.
So
which is very big, of course, the UK.
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. And so as I progressed through athletics or running, and having won my first marathon, I had a period there where I was very keen to be as good as the best in the world, and I was getting hold of magazines. We didn't have the internet back in those days, so I was looking at all the magazines, and I very quickly realised that the best runners were coming out of the north of England, where I'd come from. And I don't know if that's because they're tough runners or whatever, but it certainly was there. So,
or is it the focus of doing something like that to find a better life?
I just wanted to be a better runner. It wasn't. I had a great life here. I had a nice car, had a good job. It was just my passion. I just wanted to be the best, and I didn't think I was already the state champion here, but that wasn't enough for me. I wanted, knowing there was better runners, and reading about those better runners, and really thinking I'm a long way behind those. I was about a 2:22 marathon runner then, which is very good. But
it's ambition to be better.
Yes, and so I wanted to do that. So I literally sold my car, tossed it my job, and just hopped on a plane to the north of England, totally unannounced. I got a rented car in Heathrow
It's an
Airport,
amazing story,
and
though.
drove all the way up to Newcastle and to Gateshead, and I knew one of the best runners in the world worked at the Newcastle Council Chambers, and I literally rode up there at 11 in the morning, and I walked into the reception, and I said, "I've come to see Brendan Foster," and she said, "He's on holiday for 2 weeks." And I was devastated, and I was thinking, what am I going to do?
No email.
No email, no. So I started walking out, and she said, "But all his friends go out for a run at lunchtime. Would you like to go with them?" So
I what?
Yeah. So I kind of
That's what I came
zoomed back
for.
to my car, got my suitcase, got all my running gear out, waited until they came out, and we went for a fantastic run. And the chap I was running with, I'd never heard of, but he was an international runner. And halfway around the run, he said, "Beautiful mansion on this country lane." He said, "That's where I live." And he said, "When I was a young lad, I always thought if I'm a good runner, I'll buy that house," and I have. And a bit later on in the run, he said, "Where are you staying tonight?" I said, "I've got no idea." He says, "Come and live with me." So for the next 3 months, I trained with him, and it all started. It was chance that all this happened, and I got better and better after that.
But in the meantime of all the running, you became a school teacher.
Yes, well, I did that when I came back. I was really starting to get good. I mean, I'd met one of the best coaches in the world, Alan Story, who coached Mo Farah, one of the famous runners of just kind of a last Olympics. And he was outstanding, and he really helped me to go from 2:20s right down to 2:12 for a marathon, which is got me my 23rd best in the world rankings, which is getting there. Not the best, but getting there.
Oh, look, I don't know. You know, people talk about going to the Olympics and winning bronze. Oh, well, that doesn't count. It's like there are billions of people in the world, and you're the 23rd best runner. I'd be happy with that.
Well, I still am. I'm still very happy with it because I
Yes.
know that's as good as it was going to get, and I'm happy
Well, you
with
made that point, an interesting point, that not everyone can be the number one.
Yes,
But
yes.
you can be the number one for yourself by becoming the best you can be.
With that's right. And I look back on all my career and I think to myself, I did give it everything. And there's certain races where you kind of know. I mean, one of my greatest races ever was when I ran 63:25 in the Great North Run, which is a half marathon. And I think I came 11th, but they broke the world record that day. And on that day, the runners up in front, I knew, I mean, it's still the state record of 30 years on or whatever it is. But I knew I couldn't run any faster. Even to this day, that was it for me.
Does your body tell you, like, my internal organs are overheating, or they're just not pulling enough nourishment to keep the blood?
Oh, it's just, I don't know. I just think that was a really, really good run, and you just knew, what would I have to do now to be better? I
Fly.
mean, you know,
Be able
in training.
to fly.
Sorry?
Be able to fly.
Be able to fly.
Well,
yeah, exactly.
you know that sensation of running, you must feel like you're sort of a machine with a brain sitting on it. Surely.
Well, you know, when you're running well, it is a little bit like that. You've got no concept of how fast you're running. I do now know how fast I was running because I can't run that fast anymore. So when I go for a run down the road now at 5 minutes per kilometre, I think, oh my goodness, how on earth did I ever run that fast before? When you used to win races or be on a victory dais and the crowd was kind of, I suppose, in awe of your performance, you had no idea of, I suppose, how good you were because it was just normal for you.
Yeah, you're just living your life.
You're just living your life.
I've got two questions I must ask you before we lose time. But one is, how important was it to have a good coach? And secondly, how many shoes did you go through?
It's enormously important to have a good coach. As a person that guides you and can see what you need to do to be better, because everyone's an individual. So you need to look at the science of it and also the psychology of it, what makes Grenville Wood run well and what's going to keep him motivated. So there's that side.
Was there enough known in those days?
I think good coaches,
We're talking like 40 years ago, maybe?
Yeah, look, I don't think that science now has just gone to another level. But
Yes.
the coaches that could motivate people, I don't care if it's tennis, boxing, whatever, you have to be able to draw the most out of an athlete, of any type, dancer, anything.
Yeah.
And if you can do that, you're halfway there, because the human mind, the ability to do what you want to do, has to come from within. If you believe it, you can do a lot more.
There's two people working then, isn't it?
Yes, that's right.
It's you being able to accept somebody giving you advice and knowing how to take it and then use it.
Yeah, because every day you go out and train, you think, that's it, I can't go any harder. But somebody's got to convince you, yes, you can. And then you believe you can, and then you do go faster.
And shoes?
Oh, gee. I was pretty light on my feet. You know, I guess I was doing about 200 kilometers a week then, so I went through quite a few shoes. And back in those days, there weren't these carbon fiber shoes.
No, the special running shoes.
There were canvas with a piece of table tennis bat rubber underneath. There was very little cushioning. So I'd probably go through maybe 5 pairs a year. I'm pretty light. I mean, some people go through a lot more, but I was pretty good with my shoes.
Did your feet survive?
I haven't got many nice-looking toenails.
Right.
So I won't say any more than
Caused
that.
by what though? Caused by
just losing toenails from
it's on the wear of the shoe?
just pushing off and getting blisters underneath your toenails. And yes, it's hard on toenails. Your feet are fine, and you get the occasional stress fracture and from pounding too much, but toenails don't like springing off the edge of your toes.
I can understand that.
Yeah.
It's the first time I've ever heard that. What are the downfalls of being a runner?
Well, I think the only people that have worse toenails is probably ballet dancers.
Yeah,
never up on their
girls
toes.
on point. Yes, that turns their feet sideways.
Yeah, no, it's tough on your feet, but I don't regret it at all. It's fantastic.
So you have been a school teacher, and you're still doing a little bit of.
Yes, I like motivating people. In maths is my, I suppose, specialty, and I volunteer in Enfield Primary School now, and I just take a couple of groups and just try and motivate them to enjoy maths. Not so much, I don't fire questions at them, I just make them realise how important it is to understand maths in all aspects, and just bring up everyday sort of situations. And
if a man can run 4 kilometres, how many kilometres could?
That's exactly right. Well, yes, I actually do very much like that, but more so like how far do you think you could travel if you're texting on your phone and you're driving a car?
Oh, well.
Things like that. I did that only a couple of weeks ago.
Really?
So reality bites when people go, whoa.
It's terrifying. That's a very good example.
It is.
Particularly now, as this is a common conversation.
It is a very common. And I enjoy that. I just enjoy teaching and seeing enthusiasm from students, as well as coaching athletes as well.
You're coaching your daughter?
I do. I coach both my daughters, both are international runners. So one's having a bit of a break at the moment, but the second one, my eldest daughter, is running for Australia. And I'm helping a couple of other people through their coaches, kind of being a bit of an advisor.
Right. So for your daughters, is it in their genes, do you think?
No, I think I think people, look, you have to be born to have the right figure, but it's all about the running and the training.
Actually, that's a very valid point. If your body shape is not the right shape, you can't exactly change your body shape.
But underneath the skin, you have to develop the engine.
Yep.
To do what you
want to do. But
it's
embracing what we sort of are meant to do, or what our bodies can do.
Yes.
We had a palm reader on not that long ago who explained that often the marks in our hands are directly correlated to our brains as to what we're best at doing. And I've talked to a lot of people about that lately, and it's interesting to find that that's quite commonly true. So I have to look at your palms to see if it says runner, runner.
Probably, yes, I don't know about that. Not anymore.
And we'll be back in a tick for a brief chat with Grenville in just a moment. Welcome back to Our Time. Our special guest is Grenville Wood. Grenville, just wrapping up the conversation we've had, your advice to any parent or any child who loves to run is what?
I guess early on, it's just nurture their desire to run and enjoy going out running. That's by far the most important thing. And then early on, probably right through until about 14, 15 years old, is just let them run. I mean, if they're running around playing football or soccer, they're running, and that's great.
But
training.
But taking up running is a different thing.
It is. I mean, that's more specialised. You wouldn't want to get into too heavy training too early. I think probably by the time,
because the body's still growing.
It's still growing. Yep. Yes. I think the teen years when you are growing, it's very important to strengthen the body. But saying that, strengthening the body, if you're an active child and running around, that's strengthening the body. So it's not like sitting in front of a computer.
But not endurance. This is endurance we're really talking about.
I mean, some of the best African runners were running to school and back.
Yes.
So that's they're not racing to school and back, but they're running to school and back. So I guess if you look at it from that point of view, even walking to school, and if a child says, "Can I jog to school or can I run to school today?" and it's not too far, well, you'd say, well, yes, you can.
Go for it.
Go for it.
Look, I've been very lucky to talk to some very inspirational people over the time that we've spent on Our Time, and you are certainly one of them. It's been a real pleasure.
Oh, thank you.
And you're still running.
And I'm still running.
When I talked to you on the phone the other day, you said, I've just come back from, I think it was an hour's run or something. I thought, it took me an effort to get off the bed this morning, not an hour's run. Thanks again, Grenville. It's just lovely to meet you.
Thank you.
And it's been lovely to be with you this time on Our Time. And we'll see you very soon. So keep yourself nice till then. Bye.